My goodness, there's so many things in my mind. We had a great strategic planning meeting with the leadership across Weill Cornell back in May. And now over the course of the summer, there's been a lot of people working hard to formulate a strategic plan for the next couple of years. This is not a strategic plan as sometimes is laid out over a 5-year period. I sense a little more willingness to try to really dive into a strategic plan that'll get us through the next couple of years and then be able to look beyond that after we get through the next couple of years. So what's on my mind is, what is the team going to come up with? We're going to certainly look at all three of our missions of clinical care, research, and education. On the clinical care arena, it absolutely has to be a focus on increasing the access to our clinicians for our patients. So growth is the mindset. On the research front, I have a group working on research prioritizations and strategies. That includes alternative sources of funding, given some of the challenges with federal funding. On the education front, I'm very excited to be able to think about both clinical education and science education. What can we do different? Again, particularly in an era of constrained funding on the science side, how can we utilize the resources we have to do the most high quality research possible? And finally, I've always talked since I arrived about a fourth mission of community. I'm going to put a little twist on that, and I'm going to call it advocacy. How do we who work in an academic medical center, who work in a medical school, who work in higher ed, how do we do a better job advocating for ourselves? How do we think about communicating? How do we think about talking to the public about the importance of what we do? Certainly our Here's What We Know campaign has been helpful in that regard. How do we expand that even further? How are we preparing students for a future that's unpredictable with regard to healthcare and science? I think that dealing with uncertainty is a really great opportunity for the students to concentrate not just on the details of a clinical issue or scientific issue, but really thinking about the process, thinking about what it is that not just what you have to know, but how you learn about it. And let me give you an example. I've been heavily influenced over the years by statements from Dr. Gene Stead. Many of you have heard me talk about Dr. Stead in the past, who was a longtime chair of medicine at Duke. And Dr. Stead liked to say about education, never teach anything that you can look up. And to me, that really summarizes a lot about how I view education and how I view training, is that facts come and go based on what we learn at the moment, but how you think about those facts, how you think about the learning situation, how you think about going about problem solving, that's what we really need to teach the students. Yes, we end up teaching them a bunch of facts, but that's really not what's important about education. It's about the process. And so I think if we focus on the process and help them learn how to learn, then we've done our jobs. One of the things I'm most excited for this academic year is that we are launching a new Master of Science program in genetic counseling. This to me is something that we've needed here at Weill Cornell, but maybe more importantly, society needs this. There are so many diseases, conditions that have a genetic component to it that it's critically important that we have a group of professionals who can interact with our clinicians to be able to provide insight to patients and their families as to what were the genetic risks, what are the genetic risks, how that might interplay with things like the environment, how that might interplay with things like therapies. And so I don't think you can have a modern clinical enterprise without thinking of the interplay with genetics. And so I'm delighted that we have this new program, a graduate school program in genetic counseling, and I really look forward to talking more about this as it evolves over the next few years. The relationship between extreme weather and health conditions is something that I've been interested in for a long time through my work as a cardiovascular researcher and as a clinical cardiologist. This goes back to issues really dealing with air quality and the relationship between air quality and the risk of having heart attacks. So this relationship between weather, air quality, and health is pretty well documented at this point. More recently, investigators from Weill Cornell have really looked at the relationship between Hurricane Sandy and health outcomes. And what we've seen is that even many years later, people who were affected directly by that hurricane have worse health outcomes. A lot of this is understandable. There's stress issues, there's inflammation issues, there's a lot of things that may be interrelated between the weather event and longer term health outcomes. I think we still have a lot to learn in this space, but it's pretty clear that there's at least a relationship worth exploring. On September 12th, 2025, I'll have been here at Weill Cornell for 2 years. What do I think is going to be different? Well, let me talk about the things that I hope are going to be the same. The things that are going to be the same are coordinating with the entire Weill Cornell medicine community to make us as great a place as possible across our 3 missions, to care, to discover, and to teach. But what do I hope is going to be different? I hope that there can be a little less urgency on a day-by-day basis about some of the problems we're trying to solve. I hope that there can be a little less urgency about dealing with executive orders coming out of DC. I hope there can be a little less urgency about trying potentially to address challenges and opportunities that were here when I arrived. All in all, it's been a terrific first couple of years. And as I've told the medical students, I look forward to beginning my M3 year here in New York City. Oh, and by the way, I have still not found a great pizza place. And so those of you who want to continue to send me recommendations, feel free to do so. Oh, what's my favorite part of fall besides Thanksgiving? Well, there's a lot of great parts about fall, but maybe the thing that I'll highlight is that I've been in academic medicine a long time. And one of the things that continues to excite me is new students, new residents, new fellows, new faculty arriving every summer to fall. So for me, fall really indicates a new academic year. And even after many, many years in academic medicine, I love the fall for that reason.